What's up, family? Welcome to Men vs. Ego, episode 23, Divine Timing and Personal Growth. This is my first solo episode, so bear with me. I don't have a guest. But the funny thing is I chose Divine Timing because I recently had 2 episodes of podcasts I was going to do. And for some reason, it would start, but then it would cut off. And so I had to apologize to my guest for the technical difficulties I was having. It also made me realize that maybe right now it's not the right time to have those topics on this podcast. Maybe it's for a later date. And I just took it and ran with it. And I decided to make my first solo topic on divine timing and personal growth, because sometimes we want things to happen right there and then then we rush the process and not realizing that we're self-sabotaging ourselves. And maybe right now it's not the right time. Maybe it's a couple weeks from now, maybe a month from now. And we just have to take it with a grain of salt and understand that, hey, things happen for a reason, and take it for your personal growth. Like, don't understand that outside circumstances we can't control. We can only control internally. And so, yeah, welcome to episode 23. Like I said, hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get to it. Divine timing and understanding the concept. What is divine timing? For me, divine timing is at the right place, at the right moment, at the right time, with the right conditions. It's not rushing the process. It will be there when it gets there. I think, to quote Gandalf, a wizard is never late. He arrives precisely when he means to, right? And kind of like that, to where our selfish self wants it right now or sooner than later, right? So for me, divine timing is wait, let the universe, the source, let the divine give you it when they're done cooking. For the new age terms, let them cook, right? So for me, that's pretty much divine timing. Don't rush the process. Let it slowly come to you in a way. Is divine timing spiritual, psychological, or both? That's a good one. I would say that it's a little bit of both, right? Because sometimes we want things to happen and we try to manifest. And psychologically, it's like, well, we don't have it. We don't see it. Where is it at? But energetically, spiritually, it's like we feel like it's coming. It's going to be here. So I definitely think that having that mindset, knowing that we are the manifestors of our own divine timing, if you will, you'll eventually get what you want. And for sure, I would say that we're creatures of, if we don't see it, it's not there. But if we feel it, I believe there's a book called Becoming Supernatural. It's almost like If You Feel It by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Choice, but to give it to you. If you feel like you're going to be entrepreneur, let's say in a podcast, or maybe you feel like you're going to get a new car or a new house. And if you feel it, you've been feeling it for months and years, the universe has no choice but to give it to you in divine timing, right? This is the topic of divine timing. And so I feel like maybe in a way, when I first started off and with the whole podcast thing, it was almost like if I try to rush it, but the more I try to rush it, the more I would self-sabotage it. So I just let things flow naturally, and in due time, I got people showing up, I got friends, I got acquaintances, I got other YouTubers coming on, and it was just a great feeling having other people talk about their experiences and having us share each piece of pearl wisdom to each other. They help everybody in my past episodes. I've gotten a little grain of salt, a little grain of sand, a little grain of pearls from them, whether it be for self-growth, personal accountability, whether it be for a mindset that I didn't have before, that whatever they told me, it kind of fit a puzzle to where I can use it in my personal life. Whatever it may be, I just want to give a shout out to everybody who's been on my podcast before and who's going to continue to be on my podcast in the future. Like I said, it's all part of divine timing. I said to myself today, I'm like, you know what? This is not going to affect me. having two YouTubers back to back, guest spiritual teachers in their own way, positive, motivated speakers in their own way, and having the technical difficulties, this is not going to stop me. I'm going to continue going on. And if it's not the topic for today's podcast episode, then I'm going to find a topic. And it seems to be working out just fine. And that's why I chose divine timing, because like I said, divine timing is everything. It's when you expect the unexpected, but you knew somewhere internally that you were gonna get it anyway. It's just a beautiful thing, right? And so sometimes it says here how the ego tries to rush things, and when you rush things, things can go wrong. I always like to use the example: if you're baking a cake and you put it in for 30 minutes, and you know you're gonna have to wait 30 minutes for it to be complete, but you decide, you know what? Nah, I want it now. I'm gonna take it out in 25, and it's still soggy. It's not cooked right. It's raw, and it's just like, dang, I should have waited those 5 extra minutes for me to enjoy it. But it's that, yeah, you can say it's ego inside of us that wants to rush things so fast that we need to understand. It's like, hey, take a chill pill, relax, flow. I was reading a book and it mentioned, I can't remember the book to save my life, but I'm pretty sure later on in the episode it'll come to me. If we fight the river, the current, we're gonna exhaust ourselves. We're gonna be tired. But if we allow the current to take us to the next curve or to the shoreline, we don't have to fight it anymore. And guess what? We're in land again. But if we strain ourselves to try to find a way out, an outcome that we want, if we see the land that's in the middle of this river, but there's land on both sides, it's like, oh, this current's super strong. I'm gonna try my best to get to that land. When the current, if you allow the current to take you, and if you work with the current, you're gonna hit land eventually. You're gonna hit a shoreline eventually, and that's the way I like to think about divine timing, and how our ego is that thing that, no, we're gonna push it. We're gonna rush things. We're gonna make it to fit our schedule. And I know that life doesn't work that way, right? So if that was the case, I would have had two guests back to back, but obviously in the near future for sure. And shout out to those two YouTubers and personal motivated speakers, and I appreciate y'all. But wanting instant results, whether it be relationships, money, healing, and this is where the ego interferes with it. Like I mentioned before, sometimes we feel like we need to rush things. We need to hurry up. We need to get that. No, man. Let everything in divine timing work out. You don't know by rushing things. Like I said, the analogy of the cake, you might self-sabotage it. Let whoever circumstance take their time, and slowly but surely and through some serendipitous way, everything's going to work out. Like, for example, this episode. And I told myself, I'm going to get an episode today regardless if I have technical difficulties, regardless if I have to do it by myself, regardless, because I feel and I know that everything happens for a reason. And I'm not a big fan of doing a podcast solo. This is my first time, but I said, you know what? Let me just jump in there and do it by myself. And I usually have guests on here, and they, like I said, I applaud every single one of them. My friends, from acquaintances to family members. So I just want to thank y'all again, and I appreciate y'all. What about control versus surrender, right? Control and surrender for sure. The analogy of the river fighting the current. We want to control the current. We want to fight it. We want to go against the current, go against the grain in it, and we're gonna either get tired, right? We're gonna lose all our energy, and we're just either we give up by we surrender and we let the flow of life take us to where they need to take us, or we fight the flow of life to make it fit our needs, but we're not going to get what we want all the time. Or we might get it, but it's not going to be the way that it should have been if we had waited for it, right? And so to me, I was talking to a friend yesterday, and shout out to, you know who you are, to my friend Delilah, and she gave me some pearls of wisdom. And sometimes rushing the process, it, like I said, isn't the right way to go about things. And our inner ego, or maybe you want to call it ego, shadow self, we want it now, not knowing that we ourselves have things to grow too. We have other opportunities to go about ourselves. And she pretty much opened my eyes to where it's like, hey, let the divine take the divine's course of action on you and don't try to hurry up the process. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. Sometimes I compare myself to Doctor Strange, for those who know, if you know, you know, right? To where, like, man, I feel good. I feel like I'm gonna do this. It all came from my father, who was a practitioner. In Spanish, we say curandero, which is like a medicine man or a wise man, a shaman type of deal. And I know that that's not always the case to go about things. Sometimes you just have that wishful thinking, let it happen. And again, in divine timing. And that's having the self discipline to understand that not everything is in your control. Not everything is how is going to come out the way we want it. And that's okay too. That's okay. Let go of control and let control come back in its own way, I guess, in a way, in a sense. But for sure, divine timing has definitely played a part in my life, whether professionally, work wise, or personally. A couple months ago, I just graduated one of the hardest schools in my career. And in the past, I have failed that school and I felt so bad about myself. But you know what? I said, I'm going to give myself another chance. I'm going to go this. I feel like I can pass it this time. And it took a year, and it might seem like a long time, a year, 12 months, but I went again. And this time I passed it with flying colors. I made new acquaintances, new friends, connections were made, and everybody helped everybody. And that was like the best experience I ever had. So I think that's a perfect example of divine timing and how it might not be today, but it's going to happen. Those 2 episodes back to back, I mentioned before, they didn't happen because of technical difficulties. But now it's like, okay, now it's your chance to go solo. Now it's your chance to talk to the audience, to your viewers, and how divine timing can work out, not just for Bobby, but for you as well, right? And if we understand that every negative situation has a small positive and every positive situation has a small negative in it, if we take it and we grow, the possibilities of the outcomes that we want are endless for our benefit as well. I just feel the need to do this episode by myself. And so far, I think it's so good. Just leave the comment, see what you guys think. And I appreciate your support, your love, the people who share this episodes, I say. Appreciate y'all. Okay. Personal growth in the waiting period. Oh, man, for sure. I think that's the whole gist of this whole thing is not wanting to wait. That impatience of wanting it now. Sometimes I feel like when we want things, we want them like Amazon Prime. We want it now. We want it the next day. But life doesn't always work like that. Sometimes it takes time to get to us, right? Whether it be relationships, healing, opportunities, life in general, just it takes time. And once you plant a seed, it's like planting a seed. And if you plant it, the tree, unless you're Jack and the beanstalk, but it's not going to grow from one day to the next. It takes time. It takes water. It takes energy. It takes the sunlight. It takes a lot of things for it to grow. And like I said, this episode might not be a 50 to 45-minute long, but needless to say, it's my first episode solo. So I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you get some pearls of wisdom when I throw out there. And everything, like I said before, everything that I've learned, it's either come from books or other people's experiences that I took it and made it my own so I can build on that. I want to have a foundation of cement, of rock, of bedrock, not of sand. And, just let it go to waste. So again, I appreciate everybody who's been on the podcast before. This one's for y'all. This divine timing, your energy, the pearls of wisdom that you gave to me and the audience. I appreciate y'all. Okay. Why delays often refine character? Yeah. Sometimes delays are blessings, right? I use an analogy in one of my previous podcasts that you never know that delay could have saved your life. That delay gave you the opportunity to make something about you, or to give you that. We see it as, oh, I'm stuck in a traffic jam. You don't realize that if you had not get stuck in a traffic jam, there was maybe a nail on the road, and luckily the street cleaner cleaned it up. So that's why there was a traffic jam. Now you don't have to worry about the the tire popping on or getting flat on the way to work or on the way to that interview that you want, or whatever the case may be. So definitely I find myself thinking when I'm running late to something or I get stuck in a traffic jam, like this is happening for a reason. And it's happening in divine timing. And it's not my time. Yeah, the woo-woo, right? The divine timing aspect, and it's nothing that I can control. It's just I have to go with that current, and, I think as long as we understand that, I think we'll be fine, and it does build the character. It teaches us patience. I know as a kid, when I was growing up, my dad would take me fishing, and I would get so impatient that I wouldn't catch any fish, but when that fish hit, oh my gosh, I forgot about that moment would be the greatest moment of my life because I forgot about how long I waited for it. It just happened. And it's like, oh, I want to do it again. And it's almost like fishing taught me a life lesson of patience. But somewhere along the lines, I forgot that, hey, it's not in my control. I should let control, let, let it go. And once I let it go, everything seemed to work out even better than I thought. And I just felt like this is that moment to where, man, I had 2 good, guests on here who unfortunately, obviously, for technical difficulties again, we couldn't make the podcast work, but I told you I'm gonna make it work, and I'm gonna pick a subject on why maybe the 2 guests didn't come to fruition. It's just divine timing, and I'm sure in the future, those episodes that we make together will be even better. We'll have something to talk about, something to laugh about. "Hey, remember that one time we tried to make an episode, but for some reason we had technical difficulties?" And it's just a beautiful thing, right? But obviously, I don't have a guest this time, but I'm gonna try to make it at least half the time that when I do have a guest. So I'm gonna try to hurry up here. Spiritual signs and synchronicities when it comes to divine timing. Not to get to the whole numerology thing or 1111 or 222 or anything like that, but I've noticed that whenever I'm in a spiritual awakening, if you will, I start seeing patterns. And I guess you can say the inability to make those 2 episodes was a pattern, right? But it showed me, hey, you can still do it, but talk about this, right? Solo, see if you can do it. Because that's one of the things I never wanted really I always want to have a guest. I didn't want to make it about me. And so, yeah, definitely signs and synchronicities, license plate numbers that we see sometimes. And it's like, why am I seeing this number? Why am I waking up at this time all the time? Like this number just resonates with me. And sometimes I guess you can say it's the divine, it's the universe, it's the spiritualism behind it. You're going through your own personal awakening and you don't know it, but it's like the people, the energies, the situations around you, they're molding you to become a better person than you were before, or grow in ways you never thought possible, or look at yourself in the mirror and say, I need to fix this thing about myself. It's just a wonderful thing, right? But needless to say, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, first episode solo on divine timing and how important it is not to rush things and let everything flow. I mentioned earlier in one of my previous episodes with Miss Jillian, shout out to Miss Jillian, the tarot card temperance and how important it is to let let it flow. Make life work for you instead of against you. Like I said, every positive situation has a negative and every negative situation has a positive, and take that and grow. But but yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Please feel free to leave anything in the comments. Yeah. Looking forward to making more episodes. And if I have to do it solo, I will. But if anybody wants to collab in the future, want to talk about growth, personal wise, spiritually wise, I'm here. Appreciate it, guys. Take it easy.